Welcome to Fred Achando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly subscribe to our channel if you are watching for the first time and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever we release a video like this and give our videos many likes. The quest for electoral justice in Kenya has reached fever pitch. Raila Odinga is piling pressure on President William Ruto to vacate office because he believes that William Ruto is illegally in office, and Raila says that this is his moment to take back his stolen victory, and he maintains that it is now or never. Now, Raila's engineered energy and vigor is eliciting a lot of reaction from African countries, and African leaders are divided on his latest quest for this electoral justice. There are those leaders who believe that this is the moment for Africans' emancipation from the yokes of electoral malpractices, and they are urging Mr. Odinga to go ahead with his plans to occupy his rightful position so that other nations will copy and emulate this to eradicate the habit of those bodies which are mandated to manage elections in African countries, rigging and favoring those who are not supposed to take positions. But there is another school of thought from other leaders who believe that Raila Odinga has got a penchant for rejecting elections after every election cycle, and they are urging Mr. Odinga to let William Ruto govern the country peacefully and revive the economy of Kenya. They are telling Mr. Odinga to accept and move on. And one such leader is the fiery South African EFF leader, Mr. Malema, who after the August polls congratulated William Ruto and bashed Raila Odinga, told him off to stop interfering with the victory of William Ruto, and he urged Odinga to accept Ruto's victory and move on and let William Ruto govern this country.
We call on Mr. Raila Odinga to accept the election outcome and not form part of a tradition of causing instability and uncertainty on African governance. Mr. Odinga must humble himself and not allow history to remember him as an individual who was desperate for power at the cost of the progress of his nation.
Ruto, as the EFF, we congratulated him, and we think that the Kenyans must accept the results. It is what it is. With highly contested elections and with such an outcome, which is very close, you are likely to have people who are not satisfied. But Kenyans must prioritize Kenya and must protect Kenya and must protect democracy. They must love their country more than loving individuals, because we cannot destroy a country on the basis of this or that individual who hasn't won. Odinga has been trying. I think it's time for him to throw a towel and try a different candidate. Perhaps there could be a different outcome, but this is the fifth time. It can't be done beyond this. He needs to accept and move on.
La kwanza nitaanza na yule mwenda wazimu wa South Africa. Aitwa Malema. Kila mara anaposti kwa mitandao lugha chafu za kumtukana baba. I want to warn Malema that you are not a Kenyan, so you don't understand what is happening in Kenya. And please, I'm warning you, stop it. Otherwise, if you don't stop it, and when they come in Kenya here, we'll teach you a lesson. Baba is our father, and no one can undermine him, and we keep quiet. So please stop it. Ikiwa huwezi siasa South Africa na kushinda, nenda nyumbani ukakae. Baba hawezi kwenda nyumbani.
Now, if you listen to those statements, you will realize that Mr. Julius Malema had already taken sides, notwithstanding the fact that Odinga was rejecting the results based on certain points, and Odinga accused the international community, the IEBC, and the judiciary of conniving together to rob him of his victory. I've got a feeling that Mr. Malema was being used by certain quarters to justify Ruto's legitimacy. You all understand that William Ruto is still fighting legitimacy up to this moment. He is doing everything and anything within his reach to ensure that he is accepted, because he understands that the just concluded elections was hotly contested and that there's about 8 to 10 million people who don't recognize him as the president of Kenya. In fact, led by Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, Raila said that they don't recognize Mr. Ruto and the whole of the Kenya Kwanza team. In fact, Martha says that maybe it is only the Kenyan constitution that may accept or recognize William Ruto as the president. So Julius Malema, without looking into the nitty-gritties of our electoral system, decided to justify Ruto's win. I must say that it is not wrong to congratulate a leader, especially after the electoral process is complete, where people go and vote. The body that is mandated to manage that election declares the winner, and if it is in like in the system, the Kenyan system, anybody who is not satisfied will go to the highest court, that is the Supreme Court, and when the verdict is out from the Supreme Court, then any other leader is now allowed to congratulate the president-elect. But it should remain at that. But you see, Julius Malema, after congratulating the president-elect, then Mr. William Ruto, he decided to go ahead and start bashing Raila Odinga, telling him that he's got this penchant of rejecting election after every electioneering year and causing chaos. And that, to me, was an improper conduct from a young leader like Julius Malema. You see, Malema does not understand our electoral system. It could be declared that we have a presidential winner, but there are several things that are playing back at home that it's only Kenyans and Kenyan leaders who understand. So before he went ahead and bashed Raila Odinga, he should have contacted those who understand our Kenyan politics to maybe enlighten him why Raila still felt that he was not satisfied with the judicial verdict. And when I look at Malema again, Malema is a young politician. He's trying to build himself. Maybe one day he would want to be the president of South Africa, or even to lead Africa as a whole, because there is a lot of pressure now for Africans to unite. And when Africa unites, we will have our leaders, people who can now be in charge of our African affairs. And Malema could be one of them. Raila Odinga is in his political sunset. Very soon, he will hang the boot, he will decide to remain a patron. And we need people like Julius Malema to lead this continent properly, without taking sides whenever there is a problem. Because you understand that sometimes whenever there are two warring factions, we need leaders who can come and sit them down on a negotiating table so that people stop war. But how do you count on people like Malema if they have already taken sides? There were several leaders who congratulated Ruto when he was elected. But they did go ahead to start reading the Riot Act to Raila Odinga. They congratulated Ruto and they said that they expect that the bilateral relationship will get better and Kenya and their countries will continue to work together for the betterment of their citizens. That was all. But Malema, I think he went overboard. Now that Raila Odinga is piling pressure to the UN body to open the servers and audit, if it comes out that indeed Raila won the elections, what will Malema do? Because based on his reactions, the conducts were the manifestations of someone who is lacking leadership qualities. So it is in light of these statements and the Raila's push for the servers to be opened and be audited that I am submitting to you that Julius Malema will be compelled to apologize to Raila Odinga, because when the result is out and they say that indeed Raila won, what will he do? And this is why I'm saying that moving forward, African nations must decide to have their relationships tied together. You cannot bash another leader before you understand what is happening in their country. Malema should come to Kenya so that he understands exactly what is happening. For example, I cannot today purport that I understand what is happening in South Africa more than Malema himself. We could be reading from the news, but you all know that even news could be edited so that people only report what other side wants. So it is only people from South Africa who can understand what is happening in South Africa. So on this, I think Malema should wait. If things go the way Raila wants it, and the verdict is rightly out, then he should humble himself the way he called on Raila to humble himself. He will also be called upon to humble himself and offer an apology to Raila Odinga, to the Azimio leaders, and to the Azimio supporters, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you think, but that is my take.